Hey, welcome back to Monique's Book List. So it is that time where we talk about what books we read. So it is our my February wrap up, and I'm also gonna lump in my March TBR. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about the books I read in February. So I read 11 books, um, and one was a reread, and two were short stories, and the rest was new to me books. But before I get started with that, how was your Valentine's Day? Was it good? Was it okay? Was it low key? I hope it was. Mine was nice. Was a what I think it was a Thursday. So of course nothing too crazy. So my husband and I agreed that we wouldn't do presents because we kind of went nuts at Christmas for the baby the kid and ourselves, and then she just had a birthday in January, so we said no big gifts. So I said I don't want anything big. I said I didn't want anything. We both agreed that wouldn't get anything for each other. So I said if anything, I might get you a card. Let me show you what he did. That is a big ass 4-page card he went out and bought. I hope that someone treated you that special too. My husband is very good to me. I love him and he's amazing. But I just hope yours was good. So let me get back into the TBR. I'm trying to be more conversational about myself because I noticed that when I talk a little more about myself, I'm a little less nervous when I'm doing these videos. I'm not as like jittery. Yeah, but I'll put a picture of me and my husband right here. I won't put a picture of my daughter. Um, I hear that that YouTube is actually gonna not allow, like they're gonna disable comments if there's any videos with children in them now. I don't know. Let me keep talking though. I may edit all this out. Maybe I won't. All right, so let me get into my wrap up. All right, so we talked about how many books I read, so let's talk about the books I actually read. So my first book we want to talk about is Secret Lives of Bees. That was the book that I agreed to read with my friend group, my actual friend group. Um, it was a reread for me. I really enjoyed it. And I don't know. I mean, if you haven't read Secret Lives of Bees, you know that it's set in. Let me just give you. If you haven't read the book or saw the movie, it's set in right during the civil, like at the beginning of the civil rights movement, and it's set in the South. I think it's set in. Actually, I know it's set in South Carolina, and it's about a young lady who is white, and she finds comfort in a group of very beautifully strong black women, and it's nice. It's nice. I love The Secret Lives of Bees. Like, it's one of my favorite books of all time. I don't reread it that often. Um, I like to compare it, or I should say, when I say I like to compare it, I like to like show the difference of the books. To the book I'm talking about is To Kill a Mockingbird. Kind of similar situations going on in the book, and I hate To Kill a Mockingbird. It bothers me a lot, but I love Secret Lives of Bees. I can't recommend it enough. I think anyone and everyone should read it. Even if the content doesn't necessarily apply to you, I believe that. What's going on? Why am I feeling like I'm in the Matrix here? Okay. I believe that you would still find something good in the book. So give it a read. All right. So the next book I read was The Moonstone because it was a part of my murder mystery, or not murder mystery, murder mystery slash thriller book group I'm in and Goodreads. I DNF'd this book at 60% or 65% of listening to it. Um, I didn't enjoy the style of writing. I didn't enjoy the story itself, which upsets me because I believe the author, which is, I think his name is Wilkie. Yeah, Wilkie Collins. Is his writing style supposed to, people compare it to Charles Dickinson, but I completely don't agree with that. Their writing styles are too different. The premise of this book is that there's this moonstone. It's very um, I don't know what to call it. Like, it's sacred, a very sacred stone to the Indian culture, and these English people or English men had stole it. And you're following the storytelling of where the Moonstone winds up and all the stuff that goes along with it. The narrator listening to the book, and when I tried to read it on my ebook, the writing style just bothered me. I just could not get into it, and I tried because I really wanted. Like I said, I think I said this in one of my videos before. I am trying my hardest not to DNF books. Like it pains me to pick up a book and start reading it and just feel like my time is wasted. So unless it's like something hardcore, like I can't listen to or read, I am committed to not DNFing books. Unfortunately, this hit my limit. I could not take the writing. Let me just give you an example. I'm going too much in a tangent. I did not like the book. I did not finish it. I gave it 1 star. Okay. So the next book that I read from my TBR for the month of February was We Shouldn't by V. Keelan. About 2 people who are up for the same job who fall in love. Of course, it's a romance / smut, and I gave it 3 stars because it was just okay. Nothing crazy, nothing. I mean, it's nothing to write home to your mom about. All right, so another thing, the one thing about V. Keelan that I always tell people is most of her romance or / smut novels are all slow burns. So if you're looking for fireworks, like at the, to pop off and like quickly, this book is not for you. Her writing is not for you. Okay, so the next book I read, let me stay in the vein of romance / smut. I read a total of, 3 novels by Avery Flynn. They actually were all in a series. It was called the Harbor City series. The first book is called The Negotiator. The second one is called The Charmer. And the third is called The Schemer. I can sum up all these books by just talking about them as a series. You're introduced in each book to 3 different men. The first one, I forgot his name. I remember the other 2. Let's see here. What is his name? Sawyer. Okay, so Sawyer is the oldest brother, and okay. First book is about Sawyer. Second book is about Hudson. The third book is about, what is his name? I just said I remember the names. Tyler. Hudson and Sawyer are brothers, and Tyler used to be best friends with Sawyer. And in the series, they find love with these very unique women. We all know how it goes. They see the woman, they all fall for these like very interesting, not what they thought. One of them is a hate to love relationship. The other 2 are just, I found a magical, mystical woman. They were all okay. I actually gave them 4 stars because of the writing style. I enjoyed the writing style. But I'm actually gonna do a whole video on Avery Flynn's writing style. I feel like I've read enough of her. I think I've read a total of 9 of her novels. I think I got a gist of how she writes, but I'm still trying to consider it. But yeah, I read those 3 novels and they were okay. I also read Bulletproof by her, which was technically a short story. I already told you I read it. I was reading it as I was doing my TBR for this month. And I didn't like it. I still didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars. It's not even worth mentioning. I read Batman the Killing Joke. Loved it. Gave it 5 stars. I think it was 95 pages. Very quick read. Enjoyed. also read, that was a comic book that of my graphic novel that I wanted to read in the month of February. Okay, so the last two books I read were short stories. Actually, weren't even books; they were just short stories. I listened to them actually on this thing called Read Me Romance. It is a podcast that you can get if you have, I think, just Apple. I don't know. All I know about that is I have Apple phone, so I go to iTunes and I can go get it. I can listen to Read Me Romance. I think it works on Androids too, because one of the people that I follow on Instagram, she has an Android phone. Okay, so I'm back. Bring myself back from that tangent. So yeah, if you want to listen to these two short stories on Read Me Romance, the way it works is that these young ladies, I think it's Tessa Bailey, and I cannot remember her last name Riley, but they're authors and they write a lot of romance heavy on the sex and smut. And they have a Facebook group called Read Me Romance Headquarters. And the women in this group are just like me, a bunch of nasty bitches. Love it. So if you want to join, if you like romance, you like a little smut in your life, Read Me Romance, you get to listen to free novel or short stories. And the authors who allow their books to be read there, they're always highlighting their work, their other work, ebooks and physical books and stuff like that. Tessa Bailey and I cannot think of the other young lady's name, but Read Me Romance. I will try to put a link to the podcast in the description below. Where was I going with all of that? So those are the two short stories I read. The last book I read is called Let's Talk About Love. It is by Claire Kann or Khan, however she pronounces her last name. I apologize. Don't mean no disrespect. Okay, so let's talk about love. Let's talk about the book called Let's Talk About Love. Okay, so the book is about, and I have a lot of pause because this book gave me a lot of feelings. Not all good. Mostly not all good. Mostly bad. So, so I don't even know where to start with this book. This book makes me very angry, actually. Okay, so this book is about Alice. Alice is an asexual woman, African American. I don't know why I need to say that, but I'll say it. She's African American. And she is in college, I think sophomore or junior. Don't remember. Don't really care. I'm going to start with the things I did like about this book. I like the fact that the book was told from the perspective of someone who is asexual. For those who don't know what asexual is, at least the description in this book is, and what I've read, is a person who doesn't have a sexual desire, doesn't have sexual desires, and that is the base definition. So then I'm gonna talk about the spectrum of asexuality. Not that I'm a expert by any means. I'm not asexual. Okay, let me calm down. So, where was I going? Okay, so asexuality, from what I know of it, from this book and from other books and from friends of mine who are asexual, they don't have a desire to have sex. Sometimes, if they can be as low on the spectrum of just not having desire at all to have sex. And then there is those who don't have a desire to have sex with others, meaning that they pleasure themselves, but they don't have a desire to have sex with anyone. Okay, yeah. Yes, that is you get it. There's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of asexuality. So, and this book, it kind of explains that too. Like, asexuality has a base. Like, there's a base of sexuality in general, and any way you identify sexually, there's always that base, and then there's a spectrum from that. So it does a good job of explaining that there's a spectrum of asexuality, and that you shouldn't confine yourself to one definition or one part of the spectrum of any sexuality, but in this case, asexuality. Alice you meet Alice, or when you begin the book, you're meeting Alice. Her girlfriend is breaking up with her because her girlfriend can't express a physical um, attraction to Alice because Alice doesn't want to be physically touched by anyone. So her girlfriend is a little frustrated, so they're breaking up. And then Alice sees a guy or meets a guy, and then she thinks she's getting a little inkling that she might want to do something sexual. So she's kind of like very flustered by these feelings, and then she goes to therapy one session, and Alice doesn't actually say that she's asexual out loud to people. She knows she's asexual, but she's afraid to say it because then people will look at her weird. But the people already look at her weird. Okay. This book, I had a lot of negative feelings about this book, mainly because, well, there's two reasons. First is Alice is a punk bitch, and I don't like her. She's whiny as fuck, self-centered, selfish, and childish. And I don't like any of it. And her friends, she has a best friend who's a fucking bully. Her sister is a bully. Her mother's passive aggressive a bully. Her brother is a pussy. I just don't like this book. I think her interest or love interest or potential love interest, he's a decent person. But I did not like this book. That's the first thing I hate. Bad feeling I had about this book. Second bad feeling I had about this book is I feel like the book has an agenda outside of the asexuality story. I think there's another agenda that I did not agree with. There's a lot of negative stereotypes about white people that I did not enjoy in this book. Yeah, I stopped reading it at like 70% of the book. I stopped listening to it. At the point where I found myself dreading listening to the book, I figured that at that point I had to stop. So it sucks because I DNF Moonstone and I'm DNF Let's Talk About Love. So it's 2 months in and I've read 22 books and I've already DNF'd 2. And I am very unhappy that I could not get through those 2 books. This book, when I was telling my husband, he's like, well, so, after I put my daughter to bed, he's like, so what are you going to do with the rest of your evening? I'm like, I gotta go read. And he was like, you love reading. Why are you acting like it's a chore? And I was like, I don't like this book I'm reading. He was like, then why are you reading it? And I was like, I don't want to DNF books. And he was like, first of all, what is DNF? He did actually say that, but anyway, so he said, but it's your time. And you're gonna waste your time reading a book that you don't enjoy reading. He's like, you're punishing yourself. So I stopped. I just stopped. I didn't want to give it any more of my time, any more of my energy. And I think this book, like there's been a few books in history that I started reading and it pained me not to like it. Like I wanted to power through these books and just enjoy them. And unfortunately I couldn't do it. And it hurt because I really wanted to. And I think, yeah, and this is one of them, basically. Didn't like it. It was not for me. Other than the fact that it helped reinforce the idea in people's heads that sexuality in general, especially, no, not especially, just sexuality in general, there's a spectrum of sexuality, no matter if you're straight, if you're heterosexual, homosexual, asexual. I think there's pansexual. There's other sexuals. um, yeah. They're out there. All of them have a spectrum. There's not one lane for all of them. They all have different lanes and they all have different spectrums. So I enjoyed that. That alone, read the first 20 pages and it will help you see that. But I shouldn't say the first 20 pages, maybe the first few chapters, but it wasn't for me. And I really wanted to like this book. I'm going to stop talking and say bye.